All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this evening and making it a date with us. It's always uh, an amazing time for us to come together and for us to come together to deliberate and talk about these issues that affect us in no small measures. So this evening we'll be talking about planned parenting because it's one very important aspect of the parenting journey. We just don't want to have children anyhow, especially uh, with the way things are in the world as it is now, economic wise, and in every uh, way possible. So it has become something very important for us to talk about so that everyone is informed and empowered to take the best of decisions, and no one is left is to be left out. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor or you're a nurse or whatever. These things happen. I happen to be a nurse, and I have a master's degree in nursing, but my children are 20 months apart. They are 20 months apart, and it wasn't how I planned it. That was not how I wanted it. But these things these things happen. And when they when things like this happen, what do you do? And things like that. And in retrospect, knowing what I know now, well, maybe to an extent it wouldn't have happened. But there are also sometimes too that God will just set you up for for victory, for dominion, for whatever. So such children, you just have them and you call them winner or triumph or God pass God day, God's will, you know, and what have you. So yes, indeed, children are very beautiful gifts. They're very beautiful gifts, but it's important for everyone to know their capabilities and all that, because they actually can drive you really crazy if care is not taken, and that's the truth. So, and this is one of the reasons we are having this conversation this evening. This is one of the reasons we're having this conversation this evening. What are the options? What should one do? How should one go about it? What are the myths surrounding family planning, planning your journey as a parent? Is it even important? We live in 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 uh in a society, so to speak, especially those of us who are in Nigeria, whereby people expect that as soon as a couple gets married, in 9 months' time, it's almost as if you have written an exam, and there has to be a report. But it doesn't have to be that way. People should have the liberty to plan themselves, to plan their families, and be able to say, okay, this is what I want to achieve before I bring in another, human being or another person to join this family, because children, they are quite intense. They are quite, they are expensive, they are little but very expensive creatures. Now, as I'm talking to you right now, if I flip my camera for you to see what is going on in my background, you know that children they're just something else. They are all over the place and all that. But yes, indeed, they are blessings. They are blessings. They are God's gifts and God's heritage. So without talking any further, I would like to bring up our speaker for tonight. She's the delectable pharmacist Aderonke Saba. She she has a first degree in pharmacy from the University of Olabisi Onabanjo, and she she has worked as a pharmacist with some notable organizations. And very recently, she was the superintendent pharmacy at Ray Plus Pharmacy in Kaduna, Nigeria. But right now, she's based in Ontario, Canada, with a lovely family. And she has also worked on a lot of family planning projects with MSD for Mothers. That's an international organization where she has worked. And she was saddled while she was there. She was saddled with the responsibility of, helping mothers, especially in Kaduna, in the northern states of Nigeria, make informed decisions when it comes to family planning methods and what to expect. So I'll bring her up right away so that we can learn from our wealth of knowledge this evening. Thank you very much. You have the floor, ma.
Good evening, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Mrs. Tosin Ojuri, for the wonderful introduction. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So today we'll be talking about family planning. Okay. Planned parenting, the pros and the cons of family planning. So I have a couple of slides that I'll be sharing with us so that it's going to guide our discussion this evening, because this issue of family planning is very wide, and beyond being wide is also to a large extent in Nigeria as a country still quite controversial. Yeah, so these slides hopefully will guide us. So we have limited time. I believe we have about 40 minutes, after which we'll have questions and discussions, answers, and such. So these slides will guide us so that we stay on course and we don't deviate from the topic of today. So I believe, let me try and share my slide now. Okay. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so the topic of today is planned parenting, the pros and cons of family planning. So we'll get right into it. We'll start out with what is family planning, because before we start talking about planned parenting, family planning, we have to understand what it is that we are talking about. So I think the right place to start is the definition, because you'll find out that a lot of people have heard about family planning, family planning, but they don't have an idea. They think they know, but for the most part, they really don't even know what family planning is about. So what is family planning? Family planning is the process of determining the amount of children you want to have and the timing and spacing between these pregnancies. The average person on the street, if you ask, will tell you, oh, family planning, the amount of children I want to have. But a key part of family planning is the spacing. In the Bible, there's a story that talks about, is there anyone that wants to build a house that will not first sit down and count the cost? And even in our day-to-day lives, if you want to build a house, okay, let's talk about a fiscal house. You're going to first sit down. Okay, what kind of house do we want to build? How long is it going to take us to build this house? And other things. So family, it's important for every family to have this process of, instead of just jumping into it, so yes, we have a family, we'll just have kids, anyhow, we'll just flow with the tide. It's important that there's a place of sitting down together, coming together. Okay, how many kids do we want to have? And beyond how many kids, what's going to be the space between these pregnancies? And you'll find out that this issue of family planning, it's a big issue in Nigeria, and why is it? Well, most developing countries, but Nigeria as a country is as at 2018, the contraceptive prevalence rate in Nigeria is still about 16.6%. Now we're talking about as at 2018, where you have in countries like Canada, as far back as 2005, they had achieved up to 85%. You understand? So you find out that, and this issue of family planning is not just about, is about the people that are uneducated, is about the people that are, shall I say, illiterate, so to speak. If you go on the streets and try to find out, people's mindsets about family planning, you will be shocked about what even the educated, literate people, what their opinions are about family planning. So family planning is beyond the amount of children you want to have, but a key part of family planning is the space and the timing between pregnancies, because on the average, like the health workers like Ms. Dojuri, she's a nurse, she would tell you, it takes on the average, when a woman gets pregnant and gives birth to a child, it takes an average of 12 months for the woman's body to recover fully. Yes, an average of 12 months. So it's family planning is also known as contraception or birth control. There's something called the unmet need. What is this unmet need? Unmet need is the amount of women of childbearing age, amount of women of childbearing age that want to stop or delay childbearing but are not using any form of contraception. So, and you wonder, why is this? But you find out that, I worked with, when I was in Kaduna, I worked with, like Mrs. Ojuri said, MSD for Mothers. And what was the project about? It was about increasing access to family plan, primary healthcare services, but majorly family planning service. And you wonder, what is the problem? Is it that people don't have access to this, or is it that people are just not interested? What is the difference? Because I think the federal government of Nigeria, as far back as 2011, they made family planning services free and available to anyone that wants to access it. At least I believe in all public health facilities. If you want any family planning service, you can go in and you get these services for free. But even at that, imagine now, this has been on since 2011. And as at 2018, we still have about 16.6% contraceptive prevalence rate. That means that out of all the women of childbearing age, you just have about 16.6%. If you ask me, that is very poor. And why is this? What is the cause? Then we'll find out that. So now I ask myself, what's the difference between Nigeria as a country and other developed countries as regards family planning uptake? Then you find out that beyond the family planning, one of the major reasons is the myths and mindsets about contraceptives. There was a research that was done, I believe, was it not 2015, and found out that, okay, let's go out to the streets and talk to men and women. Okay, have you ever heard about family planning? Trying to find out, maybe the problem is because people don't know about it, because that can also be a reason, because what you don't know, you can't access. So is it that people, and it was found that I think about 85% of women have heard about family planning at a point in their lives, and 95% of men. But where the funny part of the story, the funny part is that out of this 85% and 95%, only about 15% of these people were on the family planning method. So we now realized, okay, now the problem is not about people knowing. So what could be the problem? Why are people not, accessing these services as they should? So the next, like, myths and mindset. Why do most people will tell you, when you talk to people, family planning, why? And you will find out this cuts across board, irrespective of educational background or educational status, literacy and all. It causes infertility. Like, family planning, I've heard that family planning, if you do it, you will not be able to give birth again. So for me now, what I want to do is that, let me give birth to all my children first. So when I give birth to all my children, then I can consider family planning. And some people will tell you that family planning doesn't work. I know of somebody that did this family planning and the person still got pregnant. So what's the point? And some people tell you it causes health problems and all sorts. But the truth is that these things are, for the most part, they are not true. Family planning does not cause infertility. Anybody that says that, family, now how do I put this? Family planning does not cause infertility. Anybody that says that, okay, it's anybody that's, it doesn't cause infertility. That's, yes, there are some family planning types that can cause delayed, because their hormonal might take a while for you to get back to fertility, but under no condition does family planning contraceptives cause infertility. And for this second myth, saying when I'm done, that's one of the things that we have addressed in the definition of family planning. It's just not about the amount of children you want to have, or when you're done with it. It's a key part of family planning is the spacing between pregnancies. So family planning contraceptives should not just be about when you're done with childbearing, and family planning is effective. Yes, there are different types of family planning, and yes, to a large extent, some of them have failure rates, but the truth is that if they are used as they should, for the most part, they are very effective. So why family planning? Why family planning? Research has shown that women that have a short time between pregnancies. Now, you have someone getting pregnant within 1 year after giving birth. The next pregnancy, most times it causes increased high risk pregnancy. There's the risk of, the pregnancy being preterm. There's a risk of, low birth weight of the child. So, and you find out that in Nigeria right now, I think is at 20, I can't remember the year now, but Nigeria accounts for nearly 20% of the global maternal deaths. Now, that's a shocking figure. Nigeria alone accounts for almost 20% of global maternal deaths. And one of the ways that we can reduce maternal death, reduce infant mortality, reduce child mortality is through family planning. Because when a woman gets pregnant as frequently, without giving her time, without giving her body time to heal, she's pregnant again. There are a lot of complications. There are cases in which the pregnancies can be high risk. The children could come out. Now, it's not in all cases. That's why I'm careful. I'm using the term increased risk. There's a possibility that the child can be, have low birth weight. And when you have things like that, that's already, if not properly managed, the child can have challenges into childhood and stuff like that. So one of the reasons why we advocate actually, I'm a family planning advocate. I advocate for family planning. I try to talk to as many people that I meet about family planning because it is very important. I feel like apart from the bad political climates that we have in Nigeria, I feel like one of the issues that we have is because a lot of people are not using family planning. I think in 2015, they did a research and it was found that Nigeria's population grows by 2.6% per year. So imagine right now, Nigeria is about 200 million. If we continue like this, imagine what the population will be like in 2050. So this issue of family planning is very important, and it's even for the country, the community as a whole, because it's family planning is one of the ways through which we can achieve SDG goals. Reduction of poverty. We have we know that we don't have so many infrastructures in Nigeria as it were, but even the ones that we have, imagine if we're not as much as 200 million. It will go around to an extent. Do you understand? So yes, apart from the health benefits, you also have the economic benefits. Economic benefits where most especially for the woman and for the country, the community as a whole. Because if a family now, man and woman, yes, the woman that does the carrying of the pregnancy, the birthing of the children. But imagine if you planned your family, you are able to, when I was with Integrate E, the name of the project that I was on was Integrate E. I met a client once. She was less than 30, and she had, I think she had about 6 or 7 kids. Now imagine at age 30 and you're already having 6-7 kids. Now that tells me that the past 10 years of your life, all you've been doing is childbearing. Now, in childbearing, now is a good thing. Children, they're a blessing from God and all. But imagine a woman that, has 7 kids before age 30. That tells me that all she's been is childbearing. On account of that, she can't take up a job. She cannot contribute. She's fully, for the most part, she'll be fully dependent on her spouse. And she can't pursue her career goals, as it were. And as such, she can't contribute to economic development, as it were. So now I'm not saying that women can have as many children as they want. You can, but plan it so that, and this also helps for the health of the children, emotional health of the mother, and for the children. Imagine a woman that has given birth to 5 children in 4 years. That woman at some point will have, because number one, you have children. That means for the past 5 years, you've had children that are constantly depending on you, and you have to give them attention. Then imagine you give birth to a child, the child is not yet 1 year pregnant, you give birth to another child. Once you give birth to a new child, attention automatically shifts from the previous child to the new one. So you don't even have enough time. You've not bonded with the child as much. You've not spent enough time. You have another child, you have to shift your attention. So we're talking about health benefits, economic benefits. Family planning, it's very important. I don't know how. It's something that I advocate. I encourage people, because I know that, and in my work with MSD for Mothers, I found out that it's not just about the rural areas, even the urban areas. People need this information. It doesn't cause infertility. It works. So yeah, so now we'll be talking about the types of family planning. Yes. So what are the family planning methods? I wished we could have a discussion around this, but we have limited time. So I will just talk about the different types of family planning methods available. And if you have any comments, questions, you can drop it in the chat box. And I believe that Mrs. Ojuru will get on it and call my attention to it if there's anything I need to attend to. So what are there are different types of family planning method. So I will just, it's a lot, so I'm just going to touch on it. But if you have any question, you can call me. One thing about family planning is important that you reach out to your healthcare provider, if you want to uptake a method, because I find out that what most people do is they do this, shall I call it jump on the bandwagon kind of thing. Like I have a friend and I'm like, The truth is, another thing I need to talk about is that I feel like we as women, we don't talk about family planning enough. It has become like this coded secret that nobody wants to talk about. Then you find out that even those that are using contraceptives, even as married women, don't talk about it. So the next person is not able to benefit it. I think one thing we need to normalize is talking about the use of contraceptives. So if you're on it, there's no shame in it. Yeah. So it's something we should normalize talking about, because you find that even those that are using contraceptives are not able to talk about it freely. I feel like it's one way that can help, if you are able to talk about, contraceptive use freely. Yeah. So what are the different types of family planning method? There are different classifications of family planning methods, and like I said before, it's not good to jump on the bandwagon because my friend is using this, I'm going to use this. No, we need to understand that our physiology is different, our makeup as humans are different, our medical history is different. So that's why I advocate that if when you want to, or if you want to take up a family planning method, you reach out to your healthcare provider who will guide you appropriately. And one thing is that as healthcare providers, we don't help people to choose family planning methods. Why? Because we believe that if we help you to choose, and that is not what you want, it might be you might not adhere to it as you should. So what we do as healthcare providers is that we guide you. We say, okay, these are the options based on your medical history and everything we've been able to get about you. These are the options that are available to you. So which do you think you'll be able to work with? So the family planning methods, so based on, they are classified based on duration of action. We have those that are duration of action. We have the short acting, the long acting, medium acting, and long acting. Short acting, you have the pills, the daily pills you take every day. Medium acting, you have the injectables. There are some injectables you take once every 2 months. There are others you take once every 3 years. Then for the long acting, we have the IUDs, the implants. Now, those you can use for as long as 3 years, 5 years, and in some cases, 10 years. Yes, then we also have, we can also classify family contraceptives, modern contraceptive, based on the mode of action. We have those that are hormonal and non-hormonal. The hormonal will be those that they are hormones pretty much, and that will be the injectables, the implants, but the IUD is not hormonal. So if some people, I've heard some people talk about their concerns that, no, I don't want anything that will scatter my cycle. They said that you can do like this, you can do like this. Yes. Excuse me. If you don't want that, there's also an option. The IUD doesn't have any yes, it doesn't have hormones, it's not hormonal. So if you don't want anything that will interrupt your cycle, you can as well go for that. Then based on reversibility, we have family planning methods. For the most part, they're reversible. The implants, the injectables, the pills, the IUDs, they are reversible. They are things that you can use for a period of time. And say, okay, like if I want my spacing to be like, okay, I want 4 years before my next baby. Yeah, I can say, okay, I think the implant of 3 years will work for me. Then I can decide to go for that. But there are some family planning methods that are recommended for those that are true with, I'm true with having kids. And for that, for the females, we have the tubal ligation. I know you might have heard of it before. There's some people say you tie your tubes and all. It's called the tubal ligation. And for men, it's called vasectomy. I think I want to correct a myth about vasectomy. Most people will say that vasectomy for men, that no, if you do vasectomy, the man will not be able to perform again, will not be able to have an erection. It's not true. Vasectomy does not affect the ability of a man to have an erection. What it does is it just cut off a tube that transmits the spermatozoa into the semen fluid. So when the man ejaculates, you don't have spermatozoa swimming in it to fertilize any egg. So it's not going to affect the man's ability to have an erection and perform as a man should. So that is correct. So reversible. So for those ones, they recommend those for those that know and are very sure that they are true with childbearing. Yes, then we have the dual protection. I think the contraceptive method that comes under this dual protection are the condoms. When we say dual protection, what do we mean? We mean that they protect you from getting pregnant, and they also protect from STIs, STDs. So it's like how do I put it nowadays? It's like like two-way action. Now all the other contraceptives, they don't have dual protection. Yeah, they prevent pregnancies, but they do not protect you from STIs, STDs. But the condoms, we have the male condom and the female condoms. Now, for the male condom is the very common one. Yeah, the female condom is also available. The female condom is also available, but because of, but it's not, I think for most people, they say it's very clumsy to use. So you don't even find it as much as you find the male condoms. Yes. Then we also have the emergency contraceptives. Now, I find that in my practice, in my community practice as a pharmacist, I find that a lot of people abuse emergency contraceptives. So I'm going to try and, number one, emergency contraceptives are not supposed to be used as regular contraceptives. We advocate that emergency contraceptives should not be used more than twice in a month. It should not be used more than twice in a month. So if you're using emergency contraceptive more than twice in a month, there's a problem and you need to go and uptake a family planning method, because emergency contraceptives, they will just pretty much mess up your cycle, and we don't recommend them for as daily use. So yes, emergencies happen and all, but it shouldn't be more than twice in a month. So those are the various. Yes, I know that. I don't know its availability in Nigeria, but I also know that there's also a transdermal patch, one that you just stick on a part of maybe your arm or something, then you change it everywhere. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think it's available in Nigeria at the moment. So those are the types of family planning methods that are available. But the thing about it, this is not a decision that you take on your own. This is a decision that you take in collaboration with your healthcare provider, because before you can uptake a method, they'll run some tests. Check your history. Okay, are you prone to high blood pressure? Because if you have that, there's some methods you can use. Are you prone to UTIs and stuff? All this information is going to guide them in. You're going to help them in guiding you to choose a method. So that's why I spoke about earlier that you can't just say, "Oh, my friend is using this, let me use this." No, you are not your friend, and your body is not the same as your friend's body. So these are the things that it's very important that you just don't take this decision lightly. So what are the cons? What are the cons? The cons of family planning method? Well, I won't call them cons. It's important that, sorry, excuse me. Go to the phone. I won't call them cons of family planning method, but like I said earlier, it's important that you, sorry, please excuse me. Sorry for the interruption. So the cons of family planning method, like I said earlier, it's important that whatever decision you're taking, you take it in collaboration with your healthcare provider. I find out that some people, take the decision like, okay, my friend is using this, so let me use it. My friend is using it and my friend says it works for her, so I'm going to use it. No, because it's working for your friend does not mean it's going to work for you. So it's important that you take the decision in collaboration with a healthcare provider. Another thing that a lot of people complain about is that, oh, it has side effects, it has this, is that. Now, my response to that is, how many do we know that, okay, when we are ill, we take drugs, right? We take drugs. Have you ever seen a drug that does not have any side effects? No. All drugs, all medications have side effects, including paracetamol. But does that mean we don't take them when we are ill? No, we still take them either ways. So you find people say that, oh, it's this, is that. Yeah, and the truth is that most of these side effects, it depends on physiology in the long run. It depends on what works for one person, which might not. You hear most people say, that implant, I can never use it. It makes people fat. You will become like this. And let me shock you. One of the facilities I worked at, I had a lady actually come in and say that, please, I put this implant and I want to remove it. I think she wanted to remove after is this 6 months of putting it? So why? Is it giving you issues? No. Any side, I heard that it makes people fat. So I decided to go for it because I wanted to become fat. But now this is 6 months after, and I've not yet added a single weight. I was shocked. I'm like, okay, have you lost weight? Said no, but I've not added weight. So that means what they said is not true. So just like I said, it's based on physiology, and it's one person's experience is not going to be might not be your own experience. And that's why it's important that you take your decision in collaboration with a healthcare provider that can, guide you appropriately. Okay. So in conclusion, I'm a family planning advocate, and I want to encourage everybody, including most especially those that are not on any family planning method yet. Actually, as an advocate, I'm a mom of two, and I am on a family planning method. So yes, I've said it. So it won't be like, okay, I said people don't talk about it, and I am on a family planning method. I am on an implant. Yes. So let us normalize talking about it. Nigeria was hoping to get to 36% contraceptive prevalence ratio as at 2020. I don't think, they were able to achieve that. The statistics are not yet out for 2020, but I don't think they were able to achieve that. But it's important by word of mouth, those of us in this meeting today, let us normalize talking about family planning families. The use of contraceptive is important if we are going to get to our fullest potentials as humans, be all that we want to be all that God has called us to be. It's important that we take our time to plan our families so that we don't have surprises, unexpected surprises, because these surprises can actually be destabilizing. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you. Can we please give Saba a round of applause, even if it's a virtual round of applause? Thank you very much. It's been an awesome experience, very enlightening, and it was educative and straight to the point. So thank you very much. You are touched on the implications for the mother, because actually it's women that really bear the brunt of pregnancy, the postpartum periods, and all of that. And it could be quite intense. It's a lot to be candid, And then to make matters worse, the society even puts a lot of pressure on, look at you, you're now fat. This one, that one. So these days, I tend to fight people. I fight them anyhow. When they say, oh, look at you only have 2 children. You, when you were nursing your own children, were you slim? So please, leave me alone. So there are a lot of issues surrounding it. Aside that, the quality of care, being given to each of these children, it's also very important. I personally do not think that the same attention that will be given to 3 children is what will be given to 5, 6, and so on. So, and there's only so much a person can handle. What about the finances? What about the emotional aspect? And all that. Sometimes these 2 children of mine, they're like 5, and you are wondering, the people with 5 children, how are they doing it? Like, personally, on a personal note, these days I respect people that have 3 children and above. Like, first of all, they are very rich people and they are very patient people. In my opinion, they are rich and very patient. People with 3 children and above, oh, they are very rich and they are very patient people. That is my conclusion. So thank you once again for walking us through. Do we have any questions? I see that there's a question here. It says, I thought I saw a question just now. Oh, I can't seem to find it anymore. Can you
Yes,
please
the question
resend?
is here. It says, what are the types of, from Adebukola Shoyombo, what are the types of
Okay.
family planning and what do they entail? There are various types of family planning. You have we have the hormonal family, we have the condoms. Yes, we have the barrier methods where we have the condoms. Then we have the hormonal methods. The one that is the implant. You have the injectables, like I said earlier. The injectables, there are some you go to get injections once every 2 months. There's the one of once every 3 months. There's also, if you want something more long-term, you don't want to have to go to the clinic every 3 months for an injection. You can do the implants. There's the implants of 3 years. There's the implants of 5 years. There's also the patch, the transdermal patch, but I'm not sure if it's available in Nigeria right now. That one, you just paste it on your hand and you change it every week. I think it's just like the pill, you put it on you. Then we also have the pill. That's the daily pill that you take. You take the what do they call it now? You take a pill every day. And most people, so you'll hear people tell you things like, I know of someone that took the pill and still got pregnant. That's why most of this is important, that beyond being on the method, you understand how to use the method. Now, if you are on the daily combined oral contraceptive pill, that's the daily pill, it's important that you take it at the same time every day. So what we recommend for people is that if you're going to be on the pill, it requires a lot of commitment. So what I tell my clients is you have to set an alarm and you have to be faithful to the alarm. So that means, and it's best, now what I tell people is either you take it first thing when you wake up or you take it the last thing before you go to bed, because that's the only time I believe it can work and you can be consistent with it. So if you have your wake up time is 5 a.m., once your alarm goes off at 5 a.m., that's the first thing you're taking. And the challenge with that is if you miss a day, that day you miss can lead to something else. You understand? So somebody that is on the pill and gets pregnant won't tell you that, I missed 2 days. Oh, because I was taking it and I still got pregnant despite, but they won't tell you that I missed 2 days. So there are different types. So we have that. And we also have the IUD. The IUD, it's a tea called, they put it at the entrance of the cervix. So it's that you have to get it. So that is non-hormonal. It's not, well, it's like a T-rod is put at the entrance of the cervix that prevents the semen from getting in to fertilize the egg. So yes, there's that. But if you want to uptake a method, I advise you, in all public health facilities in Nigeria, I believe, have a family planning unit that offer their services. And I believe everything is free. So you could just walk in there and talk to a healthcare provider, and I'm sure they'll be glad to guide you on the process.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Before I forget, please, if you don't mind, you could please drop your email address in the chat box. I'm talking to everyone now. You could please drop your email address so that from time to time we can send you materials, resources, not just about family planning, but everything that has to do with maternal health, promotion, and advocacy. And then when we have programs like this, we can also let ahead of time. We tend to have things like this once every month, and hopefully it may be much more regular. So that's an aside, please. I didn't want to forget. That's why I had to quickly say so now. All right. So we've said a lot this evening, and I believe that we have learned one or two things. But one aspect I would like to really touch on is, most times uh, the gap between the first and the second born, I think that's the time that quite a lot of people tend to make mistakes, really. But then I think that I'm a bit weary about people um, naming unplanned pregnancies as mistakes. There are no mistakes. Once a child is involved, you can no longer call that one a mistake. you know. So most times people are maybe inexperienced, and they don't know what to expect. And at other times, before, for example, with my last child, I didn't get my period back for like a whole year. I wasn't menstruating. So people tend to get very comfortable within that window period of time. They tend to get very comfortable, forgetting that you will ovulate first before you get a period. So it means that when your period will come, you most probably will not even know. I believe everybody understands what I'm saying. When your period will come, you most likely will not know. So if anything happens, and then there's another child in the picture, and you are not yet ready. And I think that for once, even mental preparedness is also very important. The financial aspect, the emotional aspect, the mental preparedness, because it takes a lot to raise a child. Can you guys please tone it down? It takes so much to raise a child, not to talk of two. I think that when I was getting married, I actually wanted twins. I want twins, and let me just know that I'm done once. By the time my first child came, I was thanking God that He did not honor my request for twins, because men, it's a whole different ball game. So yes, and another thing is that quite a number of people tend to say, "Oh, I use the calendar method. I know my circle and all of that." I've come to realize that this method may not be reliable. This method may not be reliable. So we need to be very careful and know what we are doing, because sometimes the ovulation, the circle, and all those things, it may not be stable, it may not be consistent, and you probably will not even know. Then there's also the issue with withdrawal method. That in itself also could be very risky. And because these are some of the salient, I apologize. These are some of the salient issues that we don't get to talk about. Withdrawal method and things like that. It could be risky, really, because I don't know, you do not have a control over that, and even something as little as anything, and anything can happen. Really, I think you want to speak to that. Please go ahead.
Yes, I don't even advocate withdrawal method. Why? Because before the main ejaculation, there's something called pre-ejaculation that you might not even be aware of. And research has shown that in most cases, there's probably a minute amount of semen in the pre-ejaculation. So sometimes, I feel like withdrawal method is pretty much God is helping you until it doesn't anymore. Yes, but I think someone has. I think someone's hands is raised. Adetola Ladimeji.
Okay.
Yes, so maybe she has a question.
Dr. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
You can hear me.
Yes, we can. Good evening. Okay,
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right. Yeah, thanks a lot, Pharmacist Ronke. And I think that the session has been very practical so far. I just have like a few questions. Actually, I have 4 questions. So my first question was about that lactational period that Mrs. Ojuri was referring to, where some people are not menstruating and they probably just expect that they will not get pregnant, right?
Okay.
I think that you mentioned a little bit of the physiology around that, and I was just hoping that you would expound a little bit more I mean,
Okay.
just in very lay terms, so that
Okay.
people would understand how that is possible, that they're pregnant, they give birth, and they do not menstruate at all, and then they go on to become pregnant. So
Okay.
that's one.
Okay.
My second question is just, I really love that Pharmacist Ronke has worked in Nigeria, and she understands all of the landscape for family planning and everything here. There's this thing about getting permission from your husband and all of that. So I was wondering if she's worked with any client like that before,
Okay.
that the delay or the inability to get a family planning method or get on a family planning method was because of the husband, and how did she counsel that client through that situation? Are those situations, are they things like you cannot do anything about it once the husband says you can't take anything? Like, what would you advise if there was someone on this call, for instance, who has that challenge? What would you advise, or how would you advise that they go about it? So that's my second question.
Okay.
My third question is also because of your experience working in Nigeria. Would you just speak to the financial implications of getting family planning methods? Because I know
Okay.
that for low-income women, or women who are probably not earning money at a particular time, they may just feel that, okay, family planning is expensive. I actually don't know if it is or not. So
Okay.
it would be great to just tell us what the prices are, what the price range are, and how easy is it to buy a family or get on a family planning method cost-wise. Then my
Okay.
last question is, like, if the person was someone that had irregular periods
Okay.
before pregnancy, and then you're looking to get on a family planning method, like, what are the considerations for someone who has irregular periods? What would you advise? Like, just lay terms, like what should be running through a woman's mind, someone who has irregular periods normally? Thank you. So
Okay.
those are my 4 questions. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll try to. Mrs. Odiri, we still have time, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Okay. So the first question, I'll start with the first. I will just answer it in that's the lactational amenorrheal method. That's what it is called. Most time the women, for the first, now this method has to do with it. So women, when you give birth, if you are breastfeeding, now exclusive breastfeeding is if the child is not eating well, we cannot call that lactational amenorrhea. Like the child is feeding every 2 hours or something like that. The child is feeding very frequently. If the child, for the period of the exclusive breastfeeding, you are covered. Now, that is the textbook opinion. But personally, I don't advise anybody to use that method, because for my 2 kids, they were on exclusive breastfeeding, like feeding on demand, feeding even less than 2 hours. But I got my period back after 6 weeks. So for me to get my period back after 6 weeks, to have gotten my period back after 6 weeks, that means I ovulated somewhere around 4 weeks. I don't know if you get my point. So yes, the truth is that, like, for some people like Mrs. Ojuri, they might not get their periods back. They might not ovulate for a year. But the truth is, like I said, eventually we are talking about physiology. What works for you might not work for me. So yes, textbook will say you are covered for the first 6 months. But in the real sense, you might not really be covered. So we personally advocate people, if you don't, like, for women, you can get IUD immediately after birth. And for those that are breastfeeding, now those that are breastfeeding, we don't advocate for or the combined hormonal. We say if you want to use an hormonal method, you use progesterone only. That's because if you use a combination of progesterone and estrogen, it's going to affect your breast milk supply, and the baby might not get enough food and all. So we advocate if you want to use progestin, I think it's called Exluton. I think that's the brand name in Nigeria. Well, most times you can get an IUD immediately after birth. So yes, according textbook wise, it works. But personally, I really won't advocate that anybody uses that if you don't want surprises. Then concerning
Yes,
husband,
please, before you go on, let me also speak to that. You know,
okay,
it's actually very tricky and very dicey. And I think I mentioned it earlier. You cannot particularly pinpoint the point where you ovulate for you to know when your period will come. For me, with my first, I didn't get my period for 6 straight months. For the period of the time I was breastfeeding exclusively, I didn't get my period. But as soon as I introduced solids, my period came back. But for the second one full year, I didn't get my period back. As soon as it turned one, then my period came back. But then because I had learned, I don't get sense now. I had learned it is not reliable, because with my first, they even told me at the hospital that, oh, okay, we try to say that yes, that breastfeeding, exclusive breastfeeding is a form of contraceptive. I no longer say that. As you are breastfeeding, add something else. If it's condom, you should be using. If add something else to it, because like I want survive. So that was what I worked with. The first one. By the time the surprise came, it was a bouncing baby boy. A bouncing baby boy was the result. So, like you said, according to textbook, because every person's physiology differs. So what works for A may not work for B. Like you said,
true.
5 weeks, 6 weeks after birth, you already got your period back. And here I am saying 1 full year, 6 months. I didn't get mine. So we cannot, there's no one size fits all. But even with regular and stable, what's it called, periods, I still do not advocate that you are counting calendar and everything. Barrier method, very, very important, because this one, you call it double attack, two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication, no surprises. I haven't had a surprise once. Now, I don't wise up. So there was a question that came in as you were talking, but the last thing you said must have answered that question. The person said that she's aware that family planning alters breastfeeding or something like that. So you already took
yes
on that.
For that, you can use IUD. Most times, if you don't get IUD immediately after birth, the next time you can get it is after 6 weeks. Apart from that, there are some progesterone only pills that you can take that will not affect the breast milk supply. Yes.
But I don't even understand how somebody is getting IUD immediately after birth. That's the last thing on your mind.
No. I think it works especially for those that give birth per vaginum. It's easy as the baby is coming back. You won't even, I feel like you will even notice as the baby is coming out. Now that's something you would have discussed with the doctor before you give her that. I want this. So as the baby is coming out, just put it there and everybody is good to go.
And that settles it. Okay.
Yes. So go on to Dr. Tola's second question, husband's permission. This is a very tricky and dynamic question, especially in Nigeria. Now, in all parts of the world, we believe that the woman owns her body and she can do as she likes with it, which includes contraceptives, family planning. But we know that Nigeria is a very different country, and should we say to a large extent patriarchal, something like that. And as health workers, we have to be careful so that they don't come and use police to arrest you. So what we do, because we have cases like this, we have a lot of cases like this. And the truth about family planning, contraceptive use, especially in a marriage relationship, is that you actually, as a woman, you need the support of your husband for family planning. Now, when I talk about support, now, if you imagine you want to use condoms, it's something that you have to come together to understand. Like, even there's for some methods, like the implants, if you get an implant, the implant doesn't start working immediately. So if I get an implant today, the implant doesn't come into effect until after about 5 to 7 days. So the rule is, if you're going to have any sexual intercourse before 7 days, you have to use a condom, because if you don't use a condom in that 5 to 7 days, you can get pregnant. So that's why you have some people say, I used the implant and I still got pregnant. No, you didn't follow the rules. So in Nigeria, what we advocate is that we have a discussion with the husband and the wife. You understand? Or we get the wife, talk to your husband about it, because the truth is that, yes, we want a lot of people to uptake these methods, but we've had cases where, the husbands, especially, coming from the north, husbands, women, and all those dynamics. You have a case where they go and arrest them. You go and arrest the health worker and say, you did this to my wife, blah, blah, blah. So what we advocate is that we try to get the husband's permission. And if the wife says, oh, no, we tell the wife, invite your husband over so that we can discuss with him. And we know that by the time we, try and talk to him, see reason, help him see why this is beneficial for your wife, why your wife needs to do this, if you want to keep her alive, especially in those cases where you have women giving birth to 10 children before 30. Uncle, come. You except you want her to die. That means you don't really love her. So as health workers, we try to, do a lot of advocacy, talk to the men. And I think part of the work we did was going into the communities, talking to religious leaders. And you know how people hold religious leaders in high esteem. So, we talk to religious leaders, get them to reach out to their people, talk to their, so that husband's permission is quite important, because if you're going to be using barrier method condoms, you really need the cooperation of your spouse if it's going to work, really. So what we try to do is we try our best to get the husbands go ahead. You understand? So that's what we do. We don't advise that we don't advise that for women to uptake family planning without the knowledge of their husbands, to prevent family disputes and also to prevent arrests of. It's not right. Eventually, by the time different laws, you get your lawyer, you're going to come out, but they would have arrested you first, especially if the husband is an influential person, and we know how all these dynamics. Sorry to say, policemen will not ask that. Once the person gives them some few notes, they would have carried you first before they will start listening to explanation and stuff. So as much as possible, we try to get the buy-in of the spouse. So the finances, yes, in almost, I want to believe, all public health facilities, family planning is free, like you don't pay anything. It's a free service. You get it for free. But even if you want to get it on your own, especially the one most people get on their own is the pills. I think the last time I was aware, a month's supply of oral contraceptive pills was about between 15 naira, I believe, or 100 naira at the most. That's a month's supply. But if you don't, that's for those that don't want to go into the public health facilities. But at the public health facilities, it's fully paid for. It's covered by the federal government in association with some other NGOs. So yes, for family planning is free for anybody that wants to get it. And the last, you spoke about irregular periods. Yes, irregular periods, for women that have irregular periods, that's one of the reasons why I don't advocate or calendars, cycle. We have some traditional methods, cycle beads and the likes. That's even if you don't have irregular periods, 1 month can just be really stressful and it just messes up your cycle. And you think you're on track, but you're not on track. And the next thing you're wondering, what's going on. So for irregular periods is one of the major reasons, one reason why I feel women should get family planning methods. But I didn't get your question. Were you asking that the type or what type of family planning method should people that have irregular periods use? Was that the question you were trying to ask, Dr. Tola?
No, I was basically just like, how would you advise like those kind of people, if just in case we have some people like that on the call?
Yes, irregular periods is one of the major reasons why you need to get contraceptives. You need to get a family planning method. And I don't believe irregular periods affect the type of family planning method you can get. It's not one of the how do I put it now? It's not one of the it's not a determining factor.
Yeah.
In the type of family planning method you can access. It's not. Yes, I believe I've answered all your questions. Any other question?
Yeah, yes, you have. Thank you very much. As you were talking about the husband's permission, I remember one facility that I worked at then. The man brought the wife and told us that this thing that you have put, come and remove it. That he doesn't want it, and we had to apologize to him and just try to pacify him and pamper him, all those stuffs. And
normally it's not a problem. We all agree that the woman's body is hers and she has a right to do with it as she should. Now it's going to be a different ball game if the lady was not married. An unmarried lady, you don't take excuses from anybody. You want it, you get it.
True.
You want it, you get it. But in a married relationship, it's, the dynamics are different. So we have to try to just make sure everything works.
By the time you put mouth so much, they will pour the matter on your head.
Exactly. Exactly. And one thing about family planning is you don't coerce people. You just try and talk to people about it. Not that the woman now, she forced me. I said I didn't want. She said I must take. So you just have to be diplomatic about it. Yes, that's why we try to get the buy-in of the spouse.
Yeah. I also had this matron then that she will ensure that the man is in the labor room as the wife is delivering. So yeah, come and stand and be looking at it. This is what it takes. So that by the time you are taking decisions and saying you are the head of the house, you will know that this is what the woman goes through. And well, maybe that might be a bit extreme and stuff like that. But it seems to work in those rural areas, those times and all of that. So do we have any other question, please? Any other question? Okay. In the absence of any other question, I believe that we have learned a thing or two and we have tried to do justice, within the scope that we could, and considering the time that we also have, because this family planning issue is very broad, but it was just important that we touched on the pertinent issues and things that people can actually really take action, about and all of that. So I believe that we've been able to do that on this call. And I want to thank each and every one of us for joining. Thank you very much for making time out to join, to learn, to unlearn, and then to relearn. Next month, by God's grace, I think we'll be talking about the myths surrounding pregnancy and childbirth, all those old wives' tales where they say, oh, you don't eat snail, your child will be drooling, if you don't do this one, and things like that. We will be doing justice to that next month by God's grace. I think we have come to the end of tonight's session. Thank you so much, Fam Saba, for an awesome time. You have really taught us, you really impacted us, and I believe that we are better for it. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much, and then we'll see you